G'day, snappers, and welcome to the Sunday Snap, coming to you through the SC Ballers feed. This is the podcast where we give our snap reactions to the NRL SuperCoach round that was. My name's Jono, coach of the Haas Beans, and with me to talk about all the big news coming out of round 25 is the coach of Tubes Pods, Tubes! How you going, mate?
Jono, I'm fired up. Big weekend. Two very happy Tommy Turbo vice captainers sitting here on the Sunday Snap.
Different vibe to last week.
Bit of a different vibe. I don't know, that Drinky to Turbo trade is looking a little bit nicer now.
Look better to the last 10 minutes of the Cowboys-Tigers game.
Doesn't matter. You've got the VC, you got the loop, although you would have probably captained Reese anyway. But either way, it's, we're flying.
Absolutely. Tubes, what were the big kind of things? Your score's at 15-19. This is kind of uncharted territory for Tubes Pods in the year 2025. What were the big moves that got you there?
Just my fullback plays killing it. Like I've got Walsh, like you, and Turbo, a VC Turbo. That was pretty much it. Like the rest was, standard. Nice upgrades today. It was interesting. That Doggies Storm game we did the watch along for was a very felt low scoring after the match, but then Kikau got upgraded, Kiraz got upgraded, and Preston got upgraded. So there were some nice upgrades to come through today too.
Yeah, you know who didn't? The Storm players. It was just Dogs guys for some reason got all the upgrades in that game. But good weekend for both of us, Tubes. I'm sure we're going to be up and about as we get through a few things tonight. But we've got to start off with a bit of a plug for baller.live, BALLR.live. If you want to check out your updated player statistics, make sure you're getting on there. You can see all the SuperCoach knowledge you want to get is available on baller.live. And they've also got the player profiles up there now as well. So when you've logged in and you go to that player statistics area, you can now click on a player and it comes up and it shows you all their breakdown of stats. You can click on them for any game they've played this year. It'll show you their breakdown for base, for power, for their attack, and also the negatives as well. And Tubes, I actually used it this weekend in one of my moves and it has come very, very good. I had to trade out Garrick this week. Actually, that's not true. I didn't have to. I was worried about Lomax being out, so needed to make a move in case Lomax was out and decided to trade Garrick. Wanted to trade into Adam Douehi, who we'll get to, but I was 24K short. Then I wanted to trade the Stags, but I was short for him as well. So I went on to baller.live and had a bit of a look through. Initially was all out on Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Looked at his 5-round average of base plus power and his 3-round average. I was a little bit disappointed. I was like, oh, that's lower than I expected. Clicked on his player profile, went through and had a little bit of a deeper dive and noticed that the reason it was so low was his one big outlier game against the Dogs in the rain a couple of weekends ago. Massively dropped that. And seriously, if I hadn't have had that tool, I wouldn't have traded in Roger, and he ended up going really, really well and getting 100 plus for me this week.
Yeah, how good's that? I'm just looking through that because you were telling me about it before. So in the breakdown on the player profile, you can then click on each game and it very quickly shows you that against the Dragons, he had 44 base and 10 power. And he's been getting 20 powers, 12 powers, 14 powers. But that one game against the Dogs, when he was not in the wet, he had 0 power stats, which is a complete outlier. Yeah, that's awesome.
Literally, it's an outlier, and that feature was the difference between me getting him or not. So it's worked out an absolute treat for me this week. And there's more to come, Tubes. I know there's going to be a Discord, a chat coming soon for all of our snappers and ballers to get in there and have a bit of a chat as well. Lots happening at Baller.
Yeah, it's good. I really like, it's stats, it's data tables, it's all these things, but the UI just looks so good that it just points you in the right directions of very important things to think of, and things that you might not otherwise look at. And it clearly helped you with your decision making. And there's a reason that you've become the hot hand this year. I think it's thanks to baller.live.
Maybe. Also doing a weekly Sunday SuperCoach podcast probably helps when you're looking at every single score.
Hasn't helped me. No, don't know if that's it.
I'll tell you who it might have helped you is baller.live is Lawrence Broncos. We're having a look at this 7K run home challenge, which launched in round 20. And Lawrence Broncos, she has now moved up to, with updates still to come from today's Broncos game, 8,673 points. She's now over 70 points clear of second place, which is knick-knack paddywhack. So Lawrence Broncos absolutely killing it. And we were trying to find her earlier to actually see what her team was on the normal kind of SuperCoach page. Very clunky, no search features. And we couldn't find her near the top of that league, which means she's obviously heavily invested in this run home challenge and actually making big ground late.
Yeah, and we gave up after not finding you can't search for it for a while. So we've come to the conclusion that when the Broncos go well, Lauren goes well. And geez, it doesn't look like stopping. The next 2 weeks, Broncos play the Cowboys, and then probably now that the Storm, after winning on Friday night, wrapped up a top 4, I'm expecting mass restings against that Broncos team in the final round.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be huge for us, Tubes, as Reece Walsh owners. Plus, you still got your man, young GI, Shibasaki. What about, though, Tubes, looking at the weekly prize winners of the Run Home Challenge on Baller.live? Archers Champions, coached by Adrian, currently sitting on 1,730 SuperCoach points. He is leading, but only by 8 points from second. Henry, coach of Hank Tester, is 1,722. They are massive, massive scores.
Massive. And just, geez, they'll be sweating for that merch pack. People think it's all about the head-to-heads, but yeah, that merch pack could be coming one of their ways based on updates. Pretty interesting. I did have a look around. I had a look at a few leagues, as I know you're in a few leagues. I'm in a few different leagues. And sort of that high 1600s was sort of the biggest score that I've seen. So we're really fighting against the best of the best for this run home challenge at the end of the season.
Yeah, crazy scores. So let's hope it continues on, Juice. More SuperCoach points is a good thing over the next couple of weeks. Shoots, let's start with our first segment of the show. It's time for the Rage Trade. Tubes, your Rage Trade this week might be the funniest one of the year, I think. Maybe not for you, but for me to hear about.
Yeah, so I'm Rage Trading Adam Douehi. But there's a bit of story that goes along with this. And I VC'd Turbo, which was good. And then I had to sit someone and loop. But there was the Lomax rumour that he was going to be out. And so we were worried he was going to be out, which is what you talked about. You brought in Roger. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know who to sit. I wanted to sit AJ Brimson, but I didn't know if Lomax was going to play or not play. So I played Brimson. I played Tino. Brimson ended up getting well. He got 83. And then all of a sudden, Lomax plays. Great. I was then sitting Shibasaki because I'd traded Douehi into my team. But I really wanted to play Shibasaki against the Knights. So I played Shibasaki. So I basically traded Jackson Ford to Adam Douehi and didn't even play him. I sat him on my bench, left him out of reserves. Waste of one of my final trades. I've still got a couple left, but so didn't even play him. But then he's still come back to bite me because he's my AE now as a 5, whereas my AE before that was 40 odd. So, and it sounds like he's gone for the season. So he's come into my team. Haven't actually played him. He's still got into my squad with an AE of 5, and now he's got to go. So yeah, it was a beauty. Great work.
Just a disaster. So he was traded in by 21% of the top 10%. So Tubes, you're certainly not alone in feeling the rage on this one. Obviously, yours more frustrating because you didn't need to do it, whereas a lot of those other people probably did. But yeah, that's a huge amount. People are low on trades. I'm sure there are people out there who used their last trade this week on Adam Douehi, and now he's most likely gone for the year. I don't think have we heard any official confirmation? I know he's in a hospital with a suspected fractured eye socket, so that doesn't sound good when he's leaving in an ambulance. I'm assuming he's gone.
Like I'm assuming it's fractured, or something. Like it's going to be something bad. Like you don't go in an ambulance straight to hospital with a face injury unless something pretty bad's happened. So yeah. I imagine him, and it's not like they're in contention. I imagine he'll miss the finals. I mean, it could be worse. There are people that might have used their last 2 trades and brought in Sam Walker and Adam Douehi. So, I can't complain too much.
Well, Tubes, Sam Walker, who also, got concussed in 7 minutes in for Sam Walker for a score of, I think, 4 off the top of my head. And he was the 6th most traded in player of the week. So there's going to be people who did both. Tubes, that gets to my Rage Trade because my Rage Trade was the 3rd most traded in player of the week. So 3 of the top 6 have gone down. Harry Grant, who got a 25-point game against the Dogs, he was actually sin bin for a shoulder charge, and he will now be suspended for the remainder of the regular season, even if he takes an early guilty plea. It's still 2 weeks. I don't see why they try and fight to downgrade, because if he loses, it's 3 weeks and they miss the first week of the semi, so that's not going to happen.
And he might have rested this next game anyway.
Exactly. So it's just completely pointless from the fight. So he's gone, and that means Douehi, Harry Grant, and Sam Walker, 3 of the top 6 most traded players of the week, are all now gone for at least the next 2 weeks. Sam Walker next week should be back for round 27, but Douehi and Harry Grant gone for the year. And there's going to be a lot of super coaches out there who own all 3 of those players and are absolutely stuffed. It just sucks.
It's funny though, like I get why he's your rage trade, and that it's annoying that he's gone. But I don't think he's worth the rage or the trade. We just keep nailing our VCs, so it's not too bad to have an auto emergency loop option each and every week. But I think as well, we can talk about it later, but the Blake Brayley maybe at hooker, like it just feels like a waste of one of your final trades over the next couple of weeks to even bring in someone at hooker.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to have Connor Watson, and they're going to feel nervous about playing Connor Watson for this new role. Like, obviously, he ended up starting on the weekend because of Sam Walker. He played 5'8" and nearly played the whole 80, still only for a low score. But there's going to be a lot of people out there nervous about having to play him in their team who might feel more pushed to make a trade. But I guess lowest man drops out. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it will be interesting. But I do think we were talking about it earlier today that it certainly feels like that, similar to previous years, that it really does feel like the time of year for those high upside guys, like they are really coming to the fore. And I think you mentioned you've looped 5 weeks in a row now or something like that. And I feel like I've looped 3 or 4 of the last 5 weeks. So it's probably not the worst to be carrying, Harry at hooker, and having that as an option for that final, I guess the person that drops out, because it almost seems like every week at the moment we're dropping someone out.
Yeah, you still need 18 players though, and if people are stuck, they might not have a choice.
True, if I'm choosing between Adam Douehi and Harry, I suppose is my final trade. It's a no question. I'm trading Douehi in the centres rather than a hooker. And just take the risk on the AE.
Yeah. All right, Tubes, let's get into actual round review now, starting off with the Rabbitohs versus the Dragons, probably the most irrelevant Supercoach game of the round. Tallis Duncan top scored, feels like, again, 115, another try, a try assist. He's now scored 9 tries in his last 10 games. What a finish to the year for Tallis Duncan.
Yeah, he's just unbelievable. I think you said you can't wait to own him next year, but he might be priced out to start the year with him. Like, he's just...
Maybe, with all these tries.
He's killing it, yeah.
The only thing is, the only reason he might not be too expensive is because he spent the first half of the year as like a bench forward, basically. So, wasn't getting big scores, was available pretty cheap. But, yeah, certainly the way he's going, he's going to get a big boost.
Yeah. And he's not even relevant, 3% owned, but he's the only
relevant
person in this team at the moment.
Look, you say that, Tubes, but I'm going to make a pledge right here, right now. If I have a trade coming into the last round and I haven't had injury concerns, Alex Johnson's coming in for this game against the Roosters. He scored a try, 87 points with a try on the weekend, which now does put him within a possibility of breaking the record against the Roosters. So he needs a hat-trick in round 27 against the Roosters to break the record. Tubes, that in that game, so they're going to have Cam Murray most likely back, Trell most likely back. They got Keon Kaloamatangi back. The troops are on board. They are going to be doing everything they can to try and break that record against the Roosters in round 27. I know the Roosters aren't going to roll over and let them do it, but that they're going to be working towards it. So if I have a trade in round 27, I pledge to you right now, Tubes, if I don't have to cover that trade elsewhere, I'm bringing in AJ and I'm playing him.
Look, Jono, I'd love for you to do that, but there's no way that you're going to do it. I'm almost want to put a stake bet on, even though I know that you control whether or not you win the stake bet. I'm that confident that you're not going to end up doing it. You just can't do it for content. You want it too serious. You're not.
It's not for content. that's not for content. It's nothing to do with that. It's because I think that South are going to try and get in there. Like, I think it's a smart play.
So final week. Oh no, you don't have Scotty Drinkwater anymore. So you're trading out someone else.
Big brain over here, trading out Scotty Drinks for his back-to-back hundreds.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens when the time gets there.
All right.
Chances are I'm probably going to have to use my trade elsewhere. That's the reason I'm not fully pledging, because if I have to use it elsewhere, I have to use it elsewhere. From the Dragons, Tubes, just two small things that stood out to me is Halangahu, the Dragons edge-back rower, young fella. He got 61 in pure base. There was no power stats at all in that 61, all base. And Damien Cook, Tubes, I thought it was interesting that he actually started at lock. He ended up getting 60 points in 80 minutes. Most of those minutes, I think 70 of them were at lock, and he maybe spent 10 at hooker when Little had a breather. You say about Harry Grant options, if someone has to make a trade and you can't get up to someone like a Brayley, if Cook is named to start at lock again next week, he's not too bad at that sub 500k price range.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just, 60 and 80 minutes is a great, a decent option, but just not at this time of the year, not when you could be bringing in. Yeah, right. I don't know. Just doesn't fill me with excitement.
Well, let's get on then to the two big Friday night games. And this is where SC Ballers did their mega watch-along. So we had Matt, Finn, current first place in SuperCoach. We had Rugby League Realm. Fenno jumped on. Fenno, who's been on as a bit of an occasional baller contributor this year. My brother Cracker got a call up late as the 18th man. And then, Tubes, you and I were on for the late game with Brian, a.k.a. the NRL Physio. A lot of fun to watch along. 5 hours of SuperCoach chat.
Yeah, it was good. Cracker came on just throwing haymakers as well. But, just throwing shots across the bow.
Big PPM, Cracker.
Yeah, huge PPM. Like, I reckon he was a 1.6 PPM. Like, he got over in the corner for a couple of tries. He actually played very much like his NRL, like very ball dominant. Just got on the ball early and just, started throwing him. He does have a bit of a boxing career too, from memory.
I wouldn't call it a career, but yeah, he had a bout. He had a bout once, and he fought like a 40. He was about 22 and fit, and he fought like a 43-year-old balding overweight bloke. Got a win, and anyway, that's his career.
But it was good. It was enjoyable. It was a huge, and we picked two very, very good football games to watch along. That finish for the first game in the Panthers Raiders just couldn't have been better. Couldn't script it any better, really.
It was unbelievable, and that Ethan Strange play. Jed Stewart did so well to get on the ball and take it. Like, you could see him, saw it hit the post, turn, and got the ball in the full. Panthers players scared to tackle him in the air and give away a penalty. And then, it just went to Strange, and he's ended up with 114 points, Strange, a try, 2 try assists. Surely, Tubes, him and Daniel Atkinson have to be the early favourites to the most owned 5/8s coming into 2026.
I can't wait to own Strange next year. Like, how quick is he? Like, when did he get so fast? I knew he was always a good runner, but it's like, geez, he looks so fit, and like his step, and he's just like, he's got something, I don't know what it is. There's something about him, like, I'm not comparing him like he's a Tedesco, but those people when they run and they just look fully balanced all the time, even though they're moving so quickly.
Like you over the first 10 metres?
Just me over the first, maybe 5 meters at best. But I really going to look forward to him. And he had a huge game, Strange. Scored what should have been the match-winning try originally, and then obviously, made that play at the end.
Stepped up in an even bigger moment later. Basically, Tubes, if you owned a Raiders forward, and they have a lot of popular owned forwards, they pretty much did a good job for you on the weekend. I do think, though, I will run through their scores. I would say, though, that this top 2 is now confirmed. If the Raiders win the game against the Tigers at 3 p.m. this Saturday, they'll lock up first place. I think Ricky Roulette is going to be a big factor in the next 2 games. I would not be playing any of these guys with confidence. But Tarpany, 108 with a try, 60 minutes, which I don't think is a shock in a big game like that against Penrith. Horse, 81 in base plus power in 72 minutes. Hosking, 73 in 84 minutes. Hudson, 63 and 84 minutes. So those kind of forwards did a good job. Nicholson did return in New South Wales Cup this week and played 60 minutes, so he'll come into that rotation as well. I'm sure Ricky will want to get some minutes into him before the finals. But, they all did a job.
Yeah, Hudson's probably he hasn't been on minute watch. He just hasn't had any attacking stats for the past period since Origin. So it'll be disappointing
Yeah.
if he gets rested the back end of the year, with a lot of people I know paying up for him, myself included. But yeah, won't be shocked to see big Ricky roulette for these last couple of weeks of the season. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it next week on the Snap, I'm sure. But I just can't see how there's not mass rest-ins for the Raiders and the Storm in that last week now.
I can see that. I don't think the Raiders will rest anyone. That's my prediction.
Rest, whatever you want to call it.
I think they'll in-game rest forwards where they can, but they've had 3 buys since round 17. I don't see them actually resting a lot of players. I think they actually need footy under their belts. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't see them playing 84 minutes or 80 minutes, though.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
I suppose that's part of it.
Which almost makes it worse, because then you might play him and then they don't get a good score. Starling was the only one from that Raiders pack who had less minutes than what you might expect. He, even with that extra time, he had 56 minutes, and he did get an early try assist to Joe Tapane, so he's ended up with a 52, which is solid. But yeah, Owen Paddy's taking moments off Starling in a big game and coming on and making a real impact too.
Yeah, he looked very good, Owen Paddy. I'm looking forward to watching him. I mean, I know Starling's re-signed, and they signed... Who'd they sign? Brayley. But, yeah, I'm hoping his minutes pick up next season, just because I really enjoy watching him play. Yeah,
he's a gun. A couple of pod backs did well too, Tubes. KO Weeks, 82 with the match-winning try. Matt Timokor, 67 with a line break. Timokor was a little bit discussed this week as a pickup. Not many people did it because of his price tag, but he went out there and did fine. For the Penrith Panthers, Casey McLean just keeps getting it done. 74 with a double. He's just on an absolute tear at the moment.
Yeah. 74 is disappointing with 2 tries. But, yeah, I mean, he can't be stopped from a try-scoring point of view at the moment. But, yeah, we'll see. Bit disappointing for the Panthers getting beat. So they're now not top 4 chances as well. So even that, we'll talk about it next week, but it will be interesting. I don't think they can make the 4. And I think that they'll end up being locked into sort of that sixth or 7th spot. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to play for going into the last week as well.
Yeah, they're 3 points out, 3 points behind the Warriors, and Warriors do have a couple of very winnable games coming up against the Dolphins and the Seagulls. So they'll fancy themselves to win at least one of those 2. Plus you've got the Broncos who have a nice draw coming up. The Sharks have Sharks have Dogs and someone easy from memory, Tubes. So yeah, it's going to be tough.
Next week. It's the Broncos that I think are the favourites to, if anyone's going in, it's them into the top 4. And even then, I think it's potentially only to take over the Bulldogs, who play the Panthers next week, and the Panthers can't catch the Bulldogs. Like they can't catch them. So I think they're in trouble.
Well, their actual footy guns had solid to middling scores. Edwards had 72 with an assist. Big bad Brian Orse, 54 with a line break, and Cleary, 54 with an assist. So he was also 43% VC'd as well, Cleary, meaning a lot of people wasted their loop on him. I think one of the most interesting things was Isaiah Yeo had 63 in 63 minutes in his return game. A lot of people just stashing him there, had brought him in, didn't want to waste a trade on him. He's looking like at least he'll come back and do a job. And you'd think, Tubes, that they're going to want to get a bit of footy under his belt. Like he's less chance now of resting in round 27 because of that.
Yeah, he's a nice one if you've held him, for sure.
All right, the second game of that Friday night doubleheader with the mega watch long through baller, the Storm versus the Dogs, and Eli Katoa, 81 with a try, Cam Munster back at 5'8", 79 with an assist, and Ryan Pappenhausen, 71 with a try. Tubes, is there anyone from the Storm that you really want to discuss or break down?
Nah, I think we spoke about Harry already. It will be, with Harry gone, I suppose, what does that mean? It probably means Wishy to hooker, Pezzett into the halves, and obviously Munster staying at 5'8". So, yeah, it probably doesn't change too much. I don't know if Wishy becomes an option at hooker for those that haven't already brought him in, but probably not. Yeah, it's sort of just a bit so-so now for the last couple of weeks for the Storm.
Is Wishy available at hooker, Tubes?
No, he's not. He's only half. I think he's half and 5'8".
Yeah, okay. I was going to say because he'd be a
Yeah,
good
I didn't
option.
think about that. Yeah, Harry Douehi might be
Yeah,
a downgrade option.
not anymore. Not if he's not available. From the Dogs' perspective, Tubes, you and I were both licking our lips early with Billy Kickow. He had 91 with a try. Oh, I hate that you actually licked your lips. That's alarming for anyone watching on YouTube. That might get us taken off the air, that, Tubes, on YouTube. It might be considered explicit content now. Viliami Kickow, 91 with a try. As a Viliami Kickow owner, Tubes, it is very, very exciting when you see the Dogs running early plays for him and giving him that early ball to get him one-on-one with people.
Yeah, it's like they made a conscious decision to attack more through him, both, as you say, through giving early ball, but the sweeping play was back. He's nearly set up Montoya early with it. And then, yeah, it happened a few more times. And he ended up obviously busting over for a try set up by Montoya. It's funny how that works out. Like we were doing the watch along, and you could just tell very early he was in for a good game, like a big super coach game. And obviously he's ended up with a 91 and owners are rejoicing.
Yeah, huge. And Kiddo's a little bit of a return to form. Couple of good signs. He was back on the right wing this week with Montoya coming to the side. He shifted from the left to the right. He did score a try with his 90 points. He actually dropped another one over the line. He did incredibly well to get himself over the line and then fumbled it when trying to put it down. But that's promising signs seeing him back out in that right.
Yeah, just lock and load him back on that right wing. Happy to be home.
I think they got a tough couple of weeks, the Dogs. So I don't think you're going to be looking at him as a VC option ever, but at least you're comfortable and confident playing him.
Sharks and Panthers. Panthers Sharks to finish off, which is pretty sneaky. Tough draw to finish.
Oh, with the Storm in front of it, that's just 3 incredibly hard weeks in a row. Imagine they lose all 3 in a row, the Dogs, coming into the finals. Pressure that'd be on them and Galvin.
Well, they drop out. If they lost both, they'll probably drop out of the 4 as well.
Wow. And the last one from the Dogs, Tubes, is your man Jacob Preston, who is more highly owned than what I always remember. He's 32% of the top 10%. He had 68 points, really nice updates. He was originally down for a 48. But I think one of the big things, Tubes, was he was back to 80 minutes. Last week he had a 10-minute stint off, and it wasn't due to injury or anything. They just kind of gave him a bit of a breather. Very happy, Tubes, as an owner that he's back to 80 minutes.
Yeah, it was a weird one last week. Like you said, it was like a breather because he came back on. It wasn't like he just missed the last 10 minutes. Anyway, So it was good to see him back to 80 minutes. Yeah, I don't know what the updates came from, like as well. I don't think he had any line break or anything like that added to his game either. He had a line break. So that's part of where it's come from. So, yeah, we'll see. It's interesting whether or not he's a play with these tough games coming up as well. But certainly for those with no trades or limited trades, beggars can't be choosers at the moment.
No, it's very good news. Let's get on to the Seagulls versus the Dolphins, Shoes, which I know for you and I was our personal favourite game of the round. We'd have to say Tommy Turbo. I was sitting here like a little crybaby just a week ago about how bad this Tommy Turbo trade was. I think I texted you saying that during the game, this is a top 5 best day of my life as Tommy Turbo was running through. 180 points, 2 tries, 3 try assists, 2 line breaks, 4 line assists. Choose one thing we spoke about yesterday was how much more freely he was running.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the points came in the second half, but he looked a bit more on from the get go, and like, I don't think he's a trade in, to be honest. If you don't own him, like the stars really did align this weekend. Like it was Dolphins, it was Saturday afternoon at Brookie, perfect weather game, and it was Cherry Evans. What was it? His milestone game of some description.
350. And
so the Manly team in general were up for it. You just felt like it was going to be a point score. So it was just great to watch. I couldn't watch. I was driving, so I was more listening rather than watching on the way home for the second half. And I think it was 15 or 20 to go, and he'd just gone over for a try. And I just tried to call you, and you rejected my call, and you're like, I'm watching on my phone, and I don't want to miss a minute of it. Like, I'm not even missing a second.
Yeah, not a chance. I think he scored 2 minutes after that, or set another one up, so I wasn't going to miss that.
Yeah, and he was very dangerous down that left edge. The man that The man that I traded to Turbo last week, which looked like a masterstroke last week when you traded Drinky to Turbo, and I traded Lehigh Hopewade, who had 27 last week when I traded him to Turbo. And yeah, I mean, the double down was well and truly on. Basically, everything Turbo was doing was just feeding Lehigh, who's ended up with 160, 2 tries, 2 assists, 16 points in tackle busts. And yeah, it would have been a nice one to have both of them on that sunny afternoon in Manly.
What about Tubes, just to add to that, another former Tubes pod, DCE, you owned him, 3-4 weeks ago? He's gone 115 with 3 assists and 34 points in goals as well. So, yeah, the former Tubes pod's getting it done.
The only thing I'll say to both of them is Lehigh went out for Turbo and DCE went out for Reece Walsh. So I can cop both.
Yeah, fair enough. Geez, one last thing on Turbo is that he was actually backing up plays. He has not done that since he's come back. Like I think his second try was the one where he put it to Lehigh and Lehigh gave it back inside to him. And he has not done that where he's put a guy through and then sprinted full ball to be able to take that receipt. That was very, very encouraging. Like when he's doing those things, he's not worried about injuries anymore. He's just playing footy.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was just, you could tell he was having fun, which no better sight to see than Turbo when he's on.
Choose one I do just want to mention because we have been openly critical of Luke Brooks a little bit this year on the Sunday Snap with some of the play style he's had. He had a good game, 107, 2 tries and an assist. And I would just say that that expansive Manly play style where they're playing quick and spreading the ball out wide, giving early ball to the backs, definitely suits his game.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem crazy that it definitely suits his game, him actually passing the ball out the back to Turbo rather than hitting the short second row forward. But I thought he looked good doing it.
So no apologies coming from YouTube. You're doubling down.
I mean, Brooks he's had it a bit tough being called the next Joey Johns as an 18-year-old, but he's not one of mine as a player. But yeah, he had a good game on the weekend, and it was nice. Hopefully, he watches the tape and goes, "Oh yeah, this works." Just keep giving it to Tommy on the left-hand side out the back. That works pretty well.
Tell you what else is working pretty well for Manly: running plays for Cooler. Like they're just giving him early ball. They're running actual plays to get him involved. I don't know if you noticed, Tubes, he was also occasionally sweeping across field to get involved on the other side as well. There was one time where Tommy didn't join the backline play in the sweep. They put Cooler there instead. I was filthy at that, but it just shows how highly they think of him. It is noticeable now that teams are like realising, we can actually do stuff with centres. Like you've seen it with Critter, obviously at the Dogs. They did it with Trell when he was playing centre for Souths as well with Jai Gray in the team. Like teams just realising, you actually use centres quite effectively.
Yeah, we've got a really, really good centre, like one of the best, most attacking centres in the game, and you can actually add them into these big sweeping plays that we do on the other side of the field. So, no, he's looked amazing for 4 weeks, similar to our critique has never been of him, but just how little Manly use him or get the ball to him, which certainly they didn't do. 104 on the weekend, as you said. It really just was a trouncing from Manly. What was the score? 58 points to 32 or something ridiculous like that? Yeah.
104 for Cool. I don't think we mentioned his score, so a great game for the 3% in that top 10% who own him. The only one from the Finns who went really well was Jeremy Marshall-King, had 104 with a try and 2 try assists. I just want to chuck in that him, Tubes, because I think a lot of people will look at maybe, I might go from Harry to Jeremy Marshall-King. He's scoring well. Just buyer beware. He only played 58 minutes on the weekend. There was no injury. Irish Kurt Donahue got a big stint at hooker before James Cade came back on to close out the game. So just buyer beware when it comes to that if you're thinking about Harry to him.
Yeah. I always get to mention on the Snap Irish Kurt since he came into your team. So it's good to see you found a different way to sneak him in this week.
Got to do it every time. Tubes, let's get on to our favourite segment of the show. It's time to see which players are ready to explode. Tubes, controversial one for you this week.
Yeah, I'm going with someone that didn't actually play this weekend, which might sound a little bit strange. And I'm picking Ronnie Muatalo from the Cronulla Sharks is ready to explode. He's actually been looking quite good. That left-hand edge, the Sharks have been looking back. Obviously, they're on the bye this week. But with only 2 rounds left, obviously matchup and ready to explode is very important. And that night's right edge is just diabolical. And we saw the Broncos play, and we'll talk a bit more about it in a bit. But I think I said to you, I had to play Shibasaki today once they named and they had Gagai back at fullback, and they're picking Fletcher Hunt, James Schiller, and obviously Dom Young. I'm going whatever two of those three are going to be on that edge. It's going to be a bit of a field day, and I'm expecting they'll pick a similar team again. Unless they decide to try that Volitano at fullback again, and I might have pronounced his name wrong, but
you did.
I just think that Ronnie, it will be a great option next week for them. The Sharks are really going to be trying to put points on because they want to make that top 4 and make that big game against the Dogs. And Ronnie on the left wing could be a really good option for people. I'll be looking at him this week as a Douehi owner.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. People in head-to-head finals, Tubes, whether you're a Douehi owner or whether you could have a completely healthy team. If you're a legitimate head-to-head player going into your final this week, your grand final, and you can bring in Ronnie, like if my opponent did that to me next week, I'd be terrified against the Knights.
It's just, I mean, it's not even just that side doesn't look very good. I do think the Knights are done. You know, when they get to this time of the season and teams are done, like that, they don't want AOB there. Well, I mean, I'm assuming they don't seem to be playing for him. They seem to be done for the year. So I think anyone playing the Knights the next 2 weeks is a good Supercoach matchup.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Tubes, did Moeni Hiroti play left centre last week? How did that all work? So Moeni went to the right.
Hiroti played right. Okay. Talakai played left. There's a chance Kale Iro's back next week as well. I'm pretty sure Kale Iro will play left. I don't know what will happen then on the right. But if it's Iro and Muatalo, like, even better. I mean, maybe you look at Kale Iro if you've got the funds for it. But, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I like it. Tubes, my ready-to-explode player is someone who legitimately hasn't exploded for a long time, and it's Keanu Kinney. He had 10 points in his 20 minutes on the weekend. He has now had a game in Q Cup. He's had 2 short-minute games back in first grade. I think the Titans showed their hand a little bit this week. They moved for him back to the bench. Kinney came on at fullback and Brimo went to 5'8". They got a game next week against the Dolphins. Then they play the Tigers. 2 teams who are showing mixed form, trying hard, but have been leaking a ton of points. And I think that if you are looking for an absolute super pod, Keanu Kinney is in 3 owners currently in the top 10%. Most people won't be able to get him or don't want to get him. He could be an absolute super pod for this last 2 games if he's back on and playing 80 minutes. He looked electric in his little stint on the weekend.
Yeah, he did look good. He made a couple of half breaks. Brimson looked very good at 5'8" when he came on as well, like I wanted to see a bit earlier in the season. But yeah, very interesting matchups. It's a tricky one though. All of a sudden, the Dolphins are a chance of making the 8 with the Roosters getting beat. So that matchup might not be as easy as it would have appeared 2 weeks ago. But yeah, he could be a very sneaky pod if he's named at fullback next week.
All right, Chiefs, let's get on to the second half of the round review. And the next game up is the Titans versus the Wars, which the Wars got it done. We've already kind of spoken about Roger a fair bit in the end now when we were talking at baller.live and the player profiles. But he had 109 with 2 tries. His base plus power has been fantastic outside of that game against the Dogs. He ended up being 6% purchased this week as probably people's likely Garrick replacement. And I still think he'd be a good option again next week.
Yeah, in a world where there's not a huge amount of options with the centre wings injuries, like they play the Eels into the Sea Eagles, so 2 pretty friendly matchups, and yeah, basically he scored 2 tries and had 109. If he scored 1 try, he was probably having high 80s, 90, and that's a pretty good place to be for a centre wing option when you're bringing in at 600k.
Yeah, and Aaron Clark, 53 points in 58 minutes, is probably the only one who's really relevant over there at the Wars at the moment. On to the Titans, who, despite being a losing team and not looking good, still have a lot of Supercoach relevance. Big Tino for Asua Malawi had 102 with a try in his 64 minutes, getting through a lot of work, made 44 tackles. Tubes, I sat him for the loop this week. I left a few points on the table with Tino. I just thought maybe his minutes were still going to be a little bit mixed. I was expecting mid-50s. I think the fact that he's coming out, pumping out 64 minutes to me means he's not one I'll be looking at sitting for any future loops this year.
Yeah, and it must have felt good when he went over in the first 5 minutes as well.
It's like, it's a mistake already. That's always good.
102, you probably got away with it almost after that. But yeah, he did look very good. And they were giving him some earlier ball just out wide. He definitely wasn't trying to play any linking. He was just playing a genuine front row forward style role, which is perfect for his SuperCoach output.
Shibs, your man AJ Brimson, Brimpod, 83 with 2 assists. Like he said, looked good when he was playing at 5'8", and him and Kinney combining together with JC there as well. So that's a big watch this space. You're going to be pretty happy as an owner if you can get that starting 5'8" role. It could have been worse. It could have been centre. So it seems like a bit of a win.
Yeah, and I picked him at the start of the year because I thought just exactly like they looked in that last 15 minutes with Kinney, him and JC. You just don't know what it's going to be like. And he's such an off-the-cuff player that when he gets in a mood, if they're rolling forward, he can look pretty good. Weird one with Jaden Campbell. Like, he had 60, no major attacking stats, but I'm pretty sure he was on like 27 after like 10, 15 minutes just by being involved. But he's been doing it a fair bit the last few weeks. He sort of just floats in and out of games, and more often than not, he's sort of floating out of the game for a fair whack. So it'll be interesting if they decide to bench Foran or drop Foran, what that'll do for JC's SuperCoach for the last 2, because he's really going to have to, well, someone's going to have to take over the game with Foran not being there. So it'll either improve Campbell or Brimson's output, I would think, from a touches point of view.
Yeah, I think they'll just go all-out attack. If that's the way they go, they're just going to be going balls to the wall, throw the ball around and go for it. So could be good. He's certainly a player who suits that. Without Tubes, I've got to mention Bo Fermor. The Bo Leavers rejoice once again. 75 points with a nice little junky try for kick late in the game, which he steamed for.
Did so well to get down.
Bo, I was about the happiest because I was tossed up him versus Tino. And at that point, the gulf was quite large, and that helped just soften the blow a little bit for that
off an
decision.
AJ kick too, so I was definitely cheering. And it looked like he dislocated his shoulder. It was one of those put downs, and then he was holding the shoulder straight away. But
too tough, Bo.
Yeah, he kept going, and yeah, he seemed all right at the end.
Very good work, Bo. The Eels versus the Roosters. This was definitely the big upset of the round. The Eels pumped them 30 points to 10. And I think the biggest talking point out of this game, Tubes, coming into it was Zach Lomax. A lot of chat that he was going to be out, rumours of a lower back injury. He ended up playing. He had 43 with 3 try contributions. I actually thought one of them was a genuine try assist, but
it's a joke. Can I like a little rant on this, because there's been updates and they haven't so they've updated the game. I thought there was literally no way. We talked about this the other week where they paid, I think, who was it that we were blown up about? I can't remember now, actually. Off a kick, where sometimes they pay it off a kick and you regather and then they give it to both the original kicker and the person that does the work.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was off a kick. Lomax took the bomb, got the offload away, then the person ran, then offloaded it back to Lomax. Lomax put in a kick, and then they scored, and he gets a try contribution, and the original kicker gets it. It just makes absolutely no sense. It's like they're trying to stick to this rule so hard and fast. Sure, if you need to give the original kicker a try assist, it had to go to Lomax. He basically did everything for that try.
Tubes, does it make it any better or worse? They actually did give 2 assists for that play. They gave the assist to Geimer, who was the second man. He got the last kick on and then ran through and missed the ball. So they did give 2 assists. They just decided that Geimer's impact as the second kicker was bigger than what Lomax did, which seems silly.
Yeah, I mean, Lomax took the original bomb, then offloaded, and then got it back again. And anyway, so it just seems a bit. It begged belief, and I don't really care because everyone owns Lomax. It's not making a huge difference. It's just more that it seems ridiculous that he doesn't get a try assist for that.
Yeah. All right. The other kind of big talking point coming out of the game, if Lomax was one going into it, Teddy was the one coming out of it. He was 46% captain, 17% VC. He's ended up on 40 points with a try. That is just not at all what you want if you're one of those people who did that for Teddy.
And I thought with Walker going off, it could be very good for Teddy. Like
Looked it
going
early.
back to Teddy ball. I guess they just got so dominated. I didn't watch this game a huge amount. Like, did Eels just play extremely well? Like,
Just a weird game. They
yeah.
did, but also Roosters didn't, and it was just a weird game.
Well, it's interesting. It certainly made some big changes. I don't think we mentioned it, but Matt also VC'd Turbo for his 180, and Matt before this week was coming 28th, 29th, 27th, something
higher than that, I think. Higher
20s. And it really feels like if you look at that sort of top 10 to top 15, none of them own Turbo or Walsh, or very little. So Teddy going poor with captaincies on, it's going to make some big swings up there in the top 30.
Oh, 100%. Choose the other ones from the Roosters. Obviously, we mentioned Sammy Walker and his concussion. Big Mark Nawangani-Tuasi had 80 with two of the most impressive assists you'll ever see. Like the one where he took the kick and then threw it back in over the head was awesome. And then he outdid it with the big flick around the back in the second half. He's just a freak.
Yeah, the commentators love him, don't they? Like they just,
why wouldn't you?
They froth over Mark. But yeah, he was good.
And yeah, Connor Watson we spoke about ended up playing 5'8", disappointing score at 35. Not ideal with what's happening with Connor at the moment. Those glory days of him being a ball playing running lock seem to be dead and buried.
Yeah,
unalived and buried.
Thought it would happen all year, but just early again.
Let's get on to today's games, and this is probably the one that if the Seagulls one didn't bring the biggest smile to your face, it was this one, Tubes. Reece Walsh, 144 with a try and 2 assists. He left a lot of points on the field. He gave 3 kicks to his teammates. He gave one when he was just too tired to kick. He gave it to Smoothie from right in front. He also gave up 2 attempts for Hunt in his game 350, just to let Hunt kick one over. And he passed a try over the try line to Kobe Hetherington for his 100th game. So left a lot of points out there, Reece boy. But he was brought in by 8% of the top 10%. He was 12% captained. And if you did have that C in him, you're not going to be complaining about 144.
No, not well. I'm certainly not, and I'm going to guess there'll be updates. Not that I had the C on him, but I'm certainly not complaining about the 144. I did find it interesting, and this could be clickbait because Fox Sports love getting me. But apparently Kevy was blown up. He didn't like Walsh passing it to Hetherington.
Okay. No, I saw that. I watched him say that. I don't know, blowing up feels a little bit over the top.
Yeah, okay.
He said he didn't like it. He's like, I don't think, what if he drops it? I don't think people should do it. Who cares about his 100th game when it's that early in the game? So he did disagree with it.
He's not a big culture man, Kevy.
I thought Kevy was all culture. I thought that was his thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he's not because he needed to bring Gordy in for the culture king into the Kangaroo squad. But, yeah, it wasn't Billy, so I suppose, anyway, we move forward.
All right, the other Broncos, like so many of them dominated, Tubes. I'll read out some scores. If there's anyone you want to talk about, let me know. Ben Hunt, 103 with 3 assists, the second 350 game man this week to go 100 plus. Katoni Staggs, who we've spoken a lot about on the Sunday Snap over this last 10 weeks, he's got 102 with a try. He had over 60 in base plus power, and he almost had a second try, if not for an amazing tackle by Bradman Best. Payne Haas, 99 with a try in 69 minutes, 4th most popular captain of the round. Katapani, 98 with a try and 4 line breaks. He had absolutely elite footwork with what he was doing out wide, just kind of made the other guys look like they were running on ice at times. Dean Mariner, 97 with a double. And Young GI, 76 with a try and a try assist. And then just to cap it off, Paddy Carrigan, 74 in 59 minutes, and he was the man who assisted Payne Haas's try. Of all those Broncos who had great scores today and irrelevant players, Tubes, is there anyone you want to talk about?
Not really. I'll be interested to see the updates come in. It was weird Shibba going to second row forward for the last 10 minutes, but he made this awesome then try saving tackle, ripped the ball off him, and then put Mariner away. But I think they didn't give him the line break assist because it was broken play or it's
hate
some
that
weird.
Rule. Yeah, broken play.
But I mean, it was the exact matchup you wanted. They've all gone very well. And it'll be interesting to see what happens now against the Cowboys. And as I said, the Storm in a couple of weeks. Just while you were talking there, you mentioned Ben Hunt. I had a sneaky look to make sure he wasn't a dual 5'8" hooker as well. And he's not, 5'8" only. Because he would have been a nice little option for Harry Grant too.
Absolutely. And they got, who do they have next week, Chibs? The Cowboys next week, the Bronx, isn't it?
At Suncorp.
Yeah.
Or is it at Suncorp? Wherever it is, it's not at Suncorp, but it's at Dairy Farmers, obviously. So wherever, I mean, they're both good scoring games.
I like
it's not called Dairy Farmers anymore.
No, I love it though. I just love the dairy. I like hearing the name. It made me happy. Reminds me of the early 2000s. Look, I just think if you can get your hands on any of those Broncos backline, they're going to be a good buy, and you're not going to sit them. I made the mistake, Tubes, of sitting Katapani today. I wasn't playing Dane Gagai, who we'll speak about in a moment, and then when he was named fullback, I thought, you can't knock back Dane Gagai at fullback, can you? Turns out, should have knocked back Dane Gagai at fullback and played Katapani. He looked unbelievable. That Gagai thing, it's obviously really good for owners that he played fullback. It's better there than the centre if you have to play him. Didn't get the goal kicking back, even with Connor Vitano dropping out of the team. Cogger still kicked, although he did get taken off late with calf tightness, Cogger, so who knows what that'll mean. The only thing I think, Tubes, is watching that game, if you're Adam O'Brien and you're an NRL coach, you cannot let Schiller be your centre again after what happened to him today. Like, I'm not saying Schiller's a terrible footballer. He's a really good finisher. He's lightning quick. He's a good carrier of the ball. But his defensive reads, we've seen it twice now. We did a watch-along, me, you and Matt, against the Knights versus the Seagulls, where Schiller got torn apart. They ended up changing him at half-time and moving him over to the wing. And then we've seen it again today. Surely Gagai moves back to centre just to strengthen up that defence.
I mean, you started this with if you were Aiden O'Brien or Adam O'Brien. Like, I mean, we watched that half and he literally hooked him and moved him from centre to wing. And then he's just put him back there today. So who knows what he's going to do next week? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to me that they would debut a fullback last week and then put him at 18-man this week. It would feel strange again to me to then see that same fullback back at fullback next week. Like, just it can't be good for the kids' confidence. We'll see what happens. But I agree, Schiller's not a centre, which is why the Sharks am I ready to explode. I just think that, as I said earlier, the Knights are gone, so it's a bit of a tough one. Gagai at fullback has much better base. You probably want to play him, but it was just worst case scenario today, really, that they just didn't get any attack.
Yeah, he also nearly scored a try too, Gagai. Like, he's ended up in 55. Fletcher Hunt made a line break and just had to pass the ball to Gagai and pegged it at his feet, basically. So that was pretty frustrating too. They're not looking good, the Knights, and it could be a big, long couple of weeks for them. Final game of the round, the Tigers versus the Cowboys. This was a bit of a thriller, Tubes, this afternoon. I was watching this while cooking up a bit of butter chicken in the kitchen, loving every second of this game. Drinky really did it from a SuperCoach perspective and a real-life rugby league perspective. 100 with 2 late, crucial try assists. I think there's a big chance he gets the first try of the game too. Updates haven't come through yet. They usually come through as we're recording. They haven't just yet. But I thought he easily did the most in the play, and then Viliami Vailea just had to do a simple draw and pass after that. It wasn't a sweep. It's so funny how the second it's not a sweep, even though Drinky was the one who kind of ran the ball up, attracted players in, not a sweep, so didn't get the assist. We'll see what happens there. But he was 14% captain as well, Tubes.
Yeah, he will be. That update could decide a lot of head-to-head preliminary finals this week, so it'll be interesting to see which way they go.
Yeah. The other ones from the Cowboys who stood out was just their super pod wingers. Semi Valame, currently owned by Zero in the top 10%, had 96 with a double. And Braden Burns, I know you and Danny Boy, both big Braden Burns fans. I don't think either of you took the plunge. He's been killing it. He's had a 92 this week with a try, and he's gone 56 in base plus power.
Yeah, I mean, he's that both could be options if they didn't have the bye in the last round as a pod wing option. But yeah, not bringing him in next week.
Tigers-wise, Tubes, Taylor May was the big standout. He had a really, really impressive NRL game. He had 125, scored a double, 3 line breaks, 22 points in tackle busts. along with Cooler and Staggs, he's just another one of these centres who's getting early ball. And also, every time he touches it, they're never a lazy run. He wants to do damage every time he touches the ball, and that was well on show today.
Yeah, I think we were a bit into him last week. I mean, he played well, but saying it was more to do with Tommy Talau, whereas he's backed it up this week. They play the Raiders next week, though, so that's a tough one. Yeah, because I suppose he's an option for Douehi or whoever owners that you might need to trade out. The price is right, and he's obviously doing it pretty well. But yeah, it's a tough matchup next week against the Raiders.
Yeah, it's 6% of the top 10% trade him in this week as that like kind of cheaper alternate. It's worked out really nicely for him. Jerome Luai, he had a really good game for the most part. He was very into everything. 102 with a try and 2 try assists. Definitely had to step up more this week with Douehi going down early, and then Latu Fainu went off as well later in the game. It is his first 100 Supercoach points since round 15 last year. So, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to own him. But with Douehi gone, he wouldn't be the worst one to own. But you're not bringing him in, are you?
No, not now. Not at this time of the year.
Tubes, Terrell May, we kind of mention his score every week because it's good. We don't usually talk about him. But he had 67 and 75 minutes. I do want to talk about him a little bit this week. His scoring, I was looking back through, he had 103 weeks ago. Other than that, he's kind of in 70s, 60s and 50s over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Do you think he could become an option to sit when looping if the Tigers are playing later in the week? Or do you just think he's too safe and he can't do it?
I nearly did today. It ended up being the right call to play him. But because I wanted to play Shibasaki against that Knights, I then had the call to sit as my final play because I looped and I looped whoever my front row forward non-playing reserve is, Hopwood or something like that. He was my captaincy, so I had May on the bench, and I was picking between May and Douehi. I ended up sticking with May, and thankfully I did from that purposes. But I do think so because it's really, really weird with these late round games. You sort of have to find someone. And next week he's Saturday Arvo, so it might not be as big of a thing. And then he's a Saturday evening, so again might not be as big of a thing. But I do think he's an option, just because it's become, like we said earlier, it's become much more of those outside backs, fullbacks, big upside season. That the meat and potatoes men aren't really getting it as done. But I do think that most people's back row is probably where they're more happy to sit at the moment than anywhere else, or the hooker, as we've talked about.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis pretty much the whole way through, Tubes, although I will say that was my thinking behind sitting Tino this week, and then that meat and potato front rower crossed over for a try, but Terrell May definitely less likely to do that than an explosive player like Tino.
Yeah, and I told you not to do that, but I
have a voice memo suggesting otherwise.
Yeah, but then there was another one about sitting Teddy or something like that. I can't remember.
That was after the Roosters game. You did say one saying you meant to say Teddy. Yeah. I remember that coming through. All right, cheers, boom, we're done. That brings us out to a close. Obviously, our Tuesday show coming up this week. Maddie and the boys will give you all the skinny on how to win your head-to-head finals, talk about all the big team news. Thursday for the Q&A pod. And then, Tubes, tell us about this week's watch-along. It's a little bit different again for the Ballers.
No Thursday watch-along this week. And we are going to be doing a Saturday afternoon watch-along where we're all getting together in Melbourne and we have a Baller studio for the day. Just want to trial it out and actually see what a watch-along might be like in an actual studio. I think we're going to record a podcast, maybe do a Q&A in a proper studio, and then we're going to do the watch along for the Saturday afternoon game.
Yeah, it's the Raiders versus Tigers at 3 p.m.
Yeah. And then we'll it should be good. Something a little bit different. And it'll be interesting to see what people whether or not people are sitting at home on a Saturday afternoon, whether they're potentially watching the footy, maybe watching the races, maybe just sitting around, whether or not there's an interest there in having a watch along. But it should be a good first up hit out in a studio.
Yeah, it's going to feel weird always seeing you blokes through a computer screen, actually sitting in a studio with you and doing a watch along for the footy. But very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, it will be weird. Everyone's going to see your height difference versus the rest of the ballers, which was a big topic of conversation at one of our watch-alongs. And I don't know, they might be a little bit disappointed potentially, but we'll see.
I'm used to that. That's all right. used to disappointing people, Tubes. All right, Tubes, anything else for us?
You beauty.